Hey guys, this is Eckhartsladder. Hello and welcome to another Star Wars video. So recently we've been covering a lot of Star Wars fan games, some canceled Star Wars projects, and today we're actually combining both of those two things to cover a fan project that hit the scene a couple of years ago, which, as I'm sure we'll talk about, may have been a mistake. Before we begin though, there are a lot of legal nuances involved with this case, and I get it, I am technically a lawyer, although I don't practice, I do YouTube instead, so you don't need to explain it to me down in the comment section. I get it, and we'll touch these issues throughout the video, but also keep in mind that there's a difference between what's technically a legal right, or sometimes even a legal requirement, and how I think the law should work, what seems fair, and this is especially true in copyright law. I get a lot of this on the main channel when I talk about Marvel and Star Wars stealing fan art to use uncredited in their comics. It's something that they may technically legally be able to do, but in my opinion, it's clearly immoral and wrong. Now, there's a lot more nuance in this case, and there's definitely a distinction which we'll talk about today, but enough sort of talking around the issue, let's get started. So today we'll talk about an in-progress fan recreation of Star Wars Rogue Squadron, which would have remade the game in Unreal Engine. In preparation for this, I actually played through the entirety of Rogue Squadron on the N64 last night, and I streamed it over here on EcksToo. It'll probably be the most recent live stream, but I'll also link it in the upper right-hand corner. And you know what? The game holds up really well. I mean, there are some dated elements of game design. Some of the levels are almost unfairly difficult. In particular, I think I was not having a great time with the Raid on Fest level, but the game handles extremely well, and the graphics aren't awful, but they could certainly use some updating. To me, the biggest issue with Rogue Squadron and playing it nowadays is the fact that the game just isn't super available. You technically can buy it on Steam and GOG, but in my experience, those versions are very finicky. To even stream it, I was forced to use an emulator and a ROM. It's even worse when you talk about the GameCube sequels because you can't even find them on Steam or GOG, and the emulation is also difficult, so unless you have a physical copy of the game, to my understanding at least, it's very hard to play them nowadays. And that's why a lot of people were really excited when a couple of years ago we saw a video of a fan recreation of Rogue Squadron in Unreal Engine 4. Now, I'm actually going to go out of my way to not talk about the creators of this because, as we'll talk about, they did receive a cease and desist. I don't want to make it seem like they were in any way involved with this video. They've nuked everything on their social media related to the game. So this is all from an outsider's perspective and a fan's perspective, I think, most of all. So aside from being made in Unreal Engine 4, we know that the project was being worked on for a very long time. It was essentially meant to recreate the game as much as possible with obvious graphical updates, and what we mostly saw as fans was the Jade Moon level, which I've now put up on screen. I'll also interchange it with some of my playthrough from last night so you guys can get an idea of how things have changed. And I mean, the most obvious difference is just visually. The game not only runs at a proper modern resolution, but is just completely visually redone. I mean, the lighting I think looks really phenomenal, and the game has proper textures, and all of the effects look really great. This is clearly made by somebody who is very passionate about the game, but he still did manage to maintain all of the UI elements and most of all the other things, the little details that make Rogue Squadron Rogue Squadron. And this is one of the problematic aspects as well, because the person who made the demo, it's all we actually got, the demo, not only made the game similar, but he also used, you know, the actual assets from the game. We hear the voice lines between Wedge and Luke, all of that stuff, which just sort of probably makes the legal situation a little bit more difficult, but we'll talk about that a bit more later on. You know, I really don't know a lot about the technical aspects of what goes into remaking a game like this, but to me and to my understanding, the game is just really built from scratch, and that's pretty impressive considering we see that the entire level is presented exactly how it was in the N64 version. Now, I think there are some small differences, like it seems like the ships move a little bit faster, and some of the kill times are a little bit quicker or at least different, but again, I don't really know the details of the technical production of something something like this. But even just with the new graphical fidelity, the game looks super impressive, and the lighting especially really stands out on a level like Jade Moon, where the blaster shots are lighting up the ground as they fly across, and there's that tank brigade attacking the shield. It's all really beautiful, and it makes the game, well, just look great. Unfortunately, as we've discussed, about 10 months ago, the game was shut down by Lucasfilm. They sent a cease and desist to the creator, and well, that's where it ended. The creator, quite intelligently, as you know, you don't want to mess with a giant corporation, nuked all of the social media as required and removed the trailers and whatever else. Now, of course, you can still find all the footage online, but more importantly, production on the game completely ceased, so it will never go any further than it did with that level. And you know what, I get it. Within the legal system as it currently exists, Disney and Lucasfilm fully have the right to do this, and they may even have the requirement when it comes to protecting their IP. However, it's extraordinarily frustrating that this happens to this specific game. Now, this isn't the first time that Disney has shut down a fan remake. A recent example comes with Knights of the Old Republic. However, Rogue Squadron is different because there's not really a way to play these games in a modern state. You can play Knights of the Old Republic on Steam, you can run it in fully widescreen mode, you can run it at whatever resolution you want, there's not a whole lot of problems, and I mean hell, you can even play it on your iPhone if you want. This isn't the case with Rogue Squadron. The first game is not up in a modern state and purchasable anywhere, and the latter two games are just not available unless you have a physical copy on a GameCube. And this is made even more frustrating by the fact that there was actually a completed collection of these games produced for the Nintendo Wii, and it was just never released to the public. It was completely finished. There was trailers. We know that it was in a final state, but we just never got it. I'm not sure the details. As a note too, there are other Star Wars fan projects which just haven't received the same treatment from Lucasfilm. We know there was that sort of tech demo for Star Wars Racer which was released in Unreal. There's a current Dark Forces remake which I am super excited about. I mean, those haven't got C&D yet, and I don't know, it's kind of weird, I guess. But this whole thing sort of just leaves me with the feeling of, you can't make this, you can't have this, and we won't give it to you. You can't give this away for free. You can't legally even download ROMs, although that is a gray area, and we're not going to do anything to help bring these games to more people, but we're going to actively stop projects which could do so. So it's frustrating, and copyright law, to be honest, is completely messed up. It's dominated and in favor of copyright holders and often large corporations and media companies. And it sucks, especially where Lucasfilm is often pretty cool with fan creations. You know, there's been some comments from you guys worrying that the fan project Star Wars Redemption that we've been talking about on our channel may come under fire, but generally, Lucasfilm has been pretty cool when it comes to games that aren't direct remakes. Now, and for the record, Lucasfilm knew about Star Wars Redemption certainly before we made that video. And when it comes to something like a fan movie, Lucasfilm also encourages Star Wars fans to use the IP to make fan films. Not only that, but you know, almost every year they have competition for the best fan movies, so they're cool with people using their IP. George Lucas himself once said that there are three pillars of Star Wars. There's his vision, there's the vision of the expanded universe, and there's the fan vision, each of which is very important. From my perspective, this one is also a little personal to me because, again, I am a huge Rogue Squadron fan, and the second that this footage was dropped, I joined the Discord server of the person who was making the project, and we were in communication. I was in talks to get an early version of the game. I was going to be able to stream it for you guys. It probably would have been on the main channel at that point, and I would have been a partner moving forward. I think a lot of people are really overly critical of the creator, especially if you read the threads on Reddit or wherever else, because it's perhaps something that should be expected, Lucasfilm striking this down, but maybe building a project of this size in Unreal alone just wasn't possible for a single fan. Maybe this was meant to help get a team out there. Maybe it was just something to pad the creator's resume, who knows, but I don't know, when you're making something really cool like this, I think it's selfish from our perspectives to blame people who want to show it off. But I don't know, these are my feelings. This is a very complex subject. I think copyright law has a lot of nuance which is difficult to discuss in a video like this, and it's also hard to discuss this reasonably without letting your disappointment cloud judgment. And again, there's also a difference between what's legal and what's ethical, what's moral, and how you believe policy and the law should operate. So comment on all of that down below. I'll be reading comments all day and be responding and hearting comments. Until next time though, guys, this has been Eckhartsladder. Be safe and may the Force be with you.